about visual branding and how you show up online as a researcher or academic. I'm delighted that my featured guest for today is Dr. Makella Coudray of the Shear Lab. Makella, would you introduce yourself for folks?
I will. And first of all, just thank you so much for even thinking to have me on as a guest. Hello, everyone. My name is Makella Coudray. I am an assistant professor in the Department of Population Health Sciences at the University of Central Florida, and I'm the director of the SHARE Lab, the Sexual Health Equity and Empowerment Research Lab. I am a proud national of the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Island blood runs deep through my veins. I also have maternal ties to Guyana. I am a rescue dog mom, somewhat newlywed. We're a year in now, so I guess it's not that newlywed anymore, and a lover of sleep. Yes, I am a nap queen. Hmm.
I am obsessed with this introduction. Oh, no one has ever come on and been like, "I am a nap queen." I love this. I
Oh no,
feel
I
like
am.
I feel like not only did I get a sense of your personality, but I also get what you care about in your personal life too. Oh, okay, that made me super happy. Tell everyone else about your research. What is the Shear Lab?
So, the Share Lab broadly, as I have had to recently think through what my passion statement is. And the Share Lab aligns closely with that passion statement, and it's somewhat also included in our name, the Sexual Health Equity and Empowerment Research Lab. So, in line with my passion statement, my research, and by extension, the lab's research, looks at ensuring equitable access for sexual and reproductive health services for women of color broadly. Also, in that same vein, just lending from my background as an epidemiologist and an implementation scientist, that's why it was so important for me that second E in the Share Lab in terms of empowerment and trying to give back to the community we're trying to serve the actual resources that they would need to advance and advocate for their own sexual and reproductive health as well.
You mentioned resources, and when I think resources, like the kind of logical answer to me is to have a stronger online presence so that your resources can help more people, so that this research can reach the people who can implement changes and practices and put it into practice. I'm curious about your own journey with your online presence. Is this something that always came naturally to you? Is it something that you've always wanted for yourself? Where are you at?
That has been a long journey, personally and professionally. So, personally, I am a very private person in general. So, I think my last Instagram post on my personal Instagram page was from 2020. We're in 2025. Um, I just don't share a lot of stuff by my own personal nature. So, that is just the background of who I am as a person. And once I started like my academic career, I would say towards the end of my PhD, I realized that was a huge difference between me and some of my cohort counterparts. Like we would be at conferences and they would post the stories or take, and I also hate taking pictures. So that's another thing. They would take pictures, and that was also just never my thing. But I started to realize it's kind of what everyone does to promote some of their work. So I think at that point, the bug was placed in my mind that, okay, I probably need to work on this to try and share some of my research. Then, as like I started my postdoc after graduation, it's always publish or perish, publish or perish. So I'm publishing, and then I'm like sharing with my family. Naturally, I publish something because I'm excited and I'm proud of myself, not thinking that it was behind a paywall. And I'm forgetting which family member, it must have been one of my aunts. And she was asking, like, oh, you get paid for this? I said, no, I don't get paid for this. I just have the pleasure of my work being in the journal so that they can get paid for it. And then explaining the paywall to her, I realized the people who I actually wanted to see my research, yes, my family, but the actual community I was trying to serve, they also probably can't get to it because it's behind a paywall. So then it was me starting to think through, okay, well, what's another way I could share some of these findings? Because I still have to publish because I'd very much like to remain employed. And that's a metric of how we are measured. So if that's going to happen regardless, I want to get paid. Outside is expensive. But I also want to like share with my community. So how do I do that? So then I had to go back to the bug that I had playing in my head of I need to show up in some type of capacity online. And I did make an initial attempt as a postdoc with no funds. And the attempt, I will admit, was a bit lackluster. I did create my social media handles. Did I post? No, because the same thing that happened on my personal pages happened on like the professional pages that I created. And even that was a struggle trying to decide if I wanted to post professional things on like my personal page. That was a struggle. And I decided to separate it because, again, I'm a private person and I didn't want to conflate those two things. So I did have something, but I don't feel like it did a good job of actually sharing what I wanted to do. And in wanting to share what I wanted to do, I started doing research, which is how I came across your site, Jennifer, the Social Academic. And you had a blog post. And I think it was like the 10 things to include in your academic website. And I said, okay, I could start with that and I can branch out, which I did. And my first website, it was okay. It could be improved, but it was okay. But it still wasn't getting across what I wanted it to get across. So I actually reached out to you, and I don't even know if you remember how long it was I had the plan to reach out to you. I reached out to you like a year in advance before we actually started working because I knew I wanted to do this because I knew it would be the key, I thought, to progressing some of my work. But again, postdoc and no money. But when I accepted this little tenure track position, and they blessed me with startup funds. I remember I even just said, I have the money now. I have the money. Let's meet immediately and set this up. And that's where I am now with a confidence in my online presence that I did not start off with. And that's largely because of the work we were able to do in setting up my website and a whole bunch of other things.
Websites are so exciting. And when we build them ourselves and it's just like not quite telling our story, it's not quite, it doesn't feel like us, or maybe sometimes we don't have the skills to share a story in the way we're dreaming about. I think about that with like video editing because my husband does a lot of video editing now, and he has this skill at telling stories through video. And
Right?
I don't have that. I mean, like I can go on video like this, but like we have skills of telling our research story, our personal story, our academic life, like the mediums in which we tell it, we don't always have the skills or capacity in a certain area. We don't always want to build those either. So I'm so happy
Right.
that you reached out. And frankly, for anyone who's listening, I'm happy that Makella reached out early. It's okay if you come to me and you're like, I don't know exactly how I'm going to pay for this yet. A lot of people do, and then they figure it out. They find it later on and they come back because they trust me because we've had that connection together.
Yep.
So it's okay. Like, I'm not going to judge you if you don't have the budget right now, but I'm going to help you dream. Like, it's so
Mhm.
beautiful. I'm so glad you came back.
Of
So,
course
okay,
I did.
the website. So, like, you have a personal academic website, you have a
Yes.
research lab website. We did those two
Yes.
together. And then you're also on social media, just to give people a little overview of the places that you are on. It sounds like you're on LinkedIn and you have a professional Instagram that you don't really use. Is that right?
That is correct. I really don't use it. And we actually did meet to talk about this in the lab this week that I have all the handles also for the lab name as well. So I have the handles for X, Facebook, and Instagram for the lab. It's just we don't post anything. And we want to because I feel like there's things going on in the lab. I have a lot of brilliant RAs, not even just on the research side. I'm really passionate about mentorship, and we have RAs doing a lot of great things. One of them just got accepted to grad school. and things we would obviously love to highlight, and we have amazing templates to do so. It's just we have not done it, honestly.
I feel like that happens, and I'm not that surprised that it's happened in this sense because you already know about yourself that, like taking photos, posting on social media, like this is something that it doesn't come naturally. It's not something that you're like out being like, "Oh, I want to take all the photos." And I get that.
Um,
And so when I think about like what fits into your lifestyle, the website has kind of that's worked for you, huh?
It really has, to be quite honest. And I think it's working in ways we didn't even know, because I asked one of the RAs this week, have y'all been talking about me? Because I keep getting people reaching out to work with me. And I'm like, where y'all finding me? Because I am obviously not posting anything. And I guess when they do searches, the website comes up. And so now I have too much people reaching out to me based on my capacity. But I was kind of surprised as well. The website is just working while I sleep, because they email me at all times. But the website is working while I sleep, and that takes some of, I feel like, the mental load off of me specifically, because that's not a comfortable place for me naturally showing up online. So having the website where I can quickly just be like, even when I'm onboarding RAs, actually, I can quickly be like, well, there's already brief summaries and everything on the website about this project. You can look at some of those materials and get back to me if you have any questions. That also helps. Having a reference point for all of the studies is really good for me as well.
Yeah, I feel like my own website is like a repository that I use more than anyone else does. I am always going in looking for, articles on the social academic to send to someone or a resource or description that's like really going to help. And so I think about how many people are avoiding building their website because it's like all about me, but actually it's a tool to help you too,
Yeah.
help you in the things that you're wanting to share, whether that's, attracting opportunities. It sounds like you've got a lot of them, or really like connecting the information your students need when they
Mhm.
need. Um, Makella, would you mind sharing just like a little overview of the types of opportunities that people have been reaching out about? Is it mostly like students who want to work in your lab?
It mostly has been students who want to join the lab, volunteer wise. Although I did have a couple people actually seeking formal employment, like full time positions, like research coordinator, postdoc type of roles. They did reach out. And in that case, the more like formal positions they were looking for was specific to like certain grants that were on the website, versus when the students reached out, they just kind of wanted to like work with the lab. But those who wanted like formal roles in the lab and paid, they identified like actual grant projects that we had posted on the website that they wanted to work on. So that was interesting.
Hmm. Now, one thing that I know you do because you shared this with me, you actually have been open about your excitement about your website in person with people, like in
Oh
meetings
yeah.
with people, you'll bring it up. What's that like?
So I think it depends on who I'm talking to. So we recently had like two new faculty join our department, and I instantly was like, you gotta set up your website. You gotta set up your website. Do it now while the startup funds are abundant. Do it now. And they're like, oh yes, who is she? And I'm like, yes. Then sometimes, and I'll admit, I've done this too. I've entered spaces, and I think it's no surprise to anyone who's a woman of color. I've entered spaces where I am prejudged. I, however, like I said, with my personality, I am not one necessarily to talk about myself. So there have been some instances where I was prejudged in certain settings about my capabilities, and I let that judgment go on for a couple meetings. And I remember one instance, we invited someone new to the group, and I had to reintroduce myself. And I took that as an opportunity to drop my website in the chart. Immediately, I received all types of messages. We didn't know you did all of this stuff. We didn't know you had this going on. I'm like, then you shouldn't have judged me. So I have used the website in my own petty endeavors on more than one occasion, to subtly let people know, find something safe to do because this is not it. And the website has helped for that in a very professional manner.
I really like that. Oh, that's my favorite story anyone's ever shared about their online presence on this show.
And you
Okay,
know,
I gotta control myself. That is too good. I think that I was
mhm,
asking this question because there's a lot of fear that people have about sharing their website once it's published. I mean, not
mhm.
just fear about doing it in person, but fear about putting it in their email signature or even on their social media profiles. What was that process like for you? Like, were you excited to share it? How does it feel when you share your website? That's the question.
So I wasn't act like when the website went live, I didn't like blast to my whole department that that website when, because again it doesn't align with my personality, but it is hyperlinked in my email signature. It is. And then all of the RAs in the lab, I also asked them to add it to their email signature. So anyone who's like formally employed with me in the lab, it's also in their email signature. So I like having it there. Um, it's in my automatic replies. So I like sharing it in that way. In what I know would be regular communications, the website is automatically linked. When I do have people asking me advice about things on like tenure track, I always bring it up in that setting as well, that this is something I feel like helps me with my presence and sharing my work. So when it comes up in those type of conversations, like what would you advise I do in the beginning of tenure track, those type of discussions, I am always happy to share about the website at that point, as well as at conferences. Conferences, I feel like it works for me really, really well, especially if it's someone new that I'm not like trying to make an introduction with. I always share the website because it's easy as well because the domain is my name. So it just kind of makes it really easy to share. And then my website's cute. So usually when they pull it up, they're interested in it and it's eye catching. And I also do the same if I'm meeting someone for the first time, like a formal Zoom meeting, and we're doing introductions. Usually, if I'm in a group meeting and we're doing introductions for the first time, depending on how they approach me, I will drop I will drop the website link in the chat. And again, really and truly, if I feel like they're underestimating me or trying to test me, I will slip the website in ever so subtly into the conversation to be like, no, no, here we are. hmm It helps me give a voice to myself in situations where I feel like I don't want to be as vocal or as in your face with something. I feel like it just does the work for me, and I can just sit and look cute while I see their faces read the website on the Zoom.
That is really special because I feel like there's so many people who avoid sharing their website because they feel like it is too much me, me, me. Like it's calling attention to me. But really, you see it as like this invitation. Hey, you can go explore this and learn like what I really do. Like it's speaking for you. So I
hmm
love that. I'm gonna see if you're okay with it. Like I would love to share my screen and see if we can show the website. What do you think?
Yes.
Now, folks, I've never done this before on this program, so let me let me see if I can make this work. Give me 1 sec. Okay, I think this is it. Oh,
Yes,
yes, it's sharing
ma'am.
the screen. Okay, so this is Makella's personal academic website. You can see there are all sorts of things on here in terms of color. We have the Sheer Lab logo. We have Dr. Makella Coudray's name. And it really kind of has its own vibe compared to the Sheer Lab website. Some similar elements, but it has its own branding and color scheme. And we can learn about the lab and explore the research that they're doing. Actually, there's a page
That's
not
me.
found. We should go check that.
That was me
Oh no!
updating stuff. I have to fix it. That was me updating stuff. And I don't know if you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I actually didn't tell you. The strip grant, it got terminated by NIH.
Oh no, that's terrible. I'm so sorry to hear that. This is happening all
Yeah.
over, and it's so unfortunate. And I think this is one of the helpful things about websites is that when something happens and we need to make a change, that's adaptable. So, Mikhail, after this call, I can help you. I can help you relink those buttons. But the point is that, like, your
Yeah.
website can have project space for you to share more of your research story, which
Mhm.
I love. Mm,
So yeah, I struggled with that
yeah.
because I mean it's terminated and there isn't it's not something that's happened in mass as we're seeing now. So I'm like, how do I convey this in a way to make it, understandable to the readers? Like, yes, we did some of this work and we can no longer continue this work. And I think I have more freedom to do that with the website because I have been asked, why didn't I just stick to our department? Our department gives us like a faculty page. And I was like, yes, they do. And I can't stand my faculty page right now. And I've asked for it to be changed at least 3 times. And it hasn't been changed versus, although that page didn't work, I can go into WordPress and I can edit my stuff on my own if I wanted to make a change. And like with now, what we have new RAs joining this semester. So I asked them and we met on Friday for everyone to send me the new RAs to send me their bios so that I can add them to the website. If I had to go through like a university run website, no. Plus I'm bossy. I like to do my own thing. So it's just easier if I could do it myself.
There's actually a lot of folks who have come to me because they have an existing web page, not just a profile, but like a whole website on their university website. And it just has so many limitations. Like you can't really have the design that you want or share all the resources that you want, or some of the things you want to embed or link maybe aren't allowed by the university website. For example, story maps. And so I think of all of these tools and resources that we can implement on a website if it's outside of that system. But I also think and this is not for you, but for so many folks, like you never know how your life is going to change. There are so many opportunities for you to keep that long term online presence by having your website space that you own and control that can adapt with you over time. I'm so
I
happy you did that for yourself.
I did, and I actually have both the personal and the lab website linked on my faculty page. Although I don't like the faculty page, it's hyperlinked. So because I'm like, look at the real stuff over there on my actual website.
Michaela, I mean, we can chat about this later, but
Yeah.
honestly, I would love for other people to hear it, and which is I wouldn't remove your research project from your site entirely. I'd probably just leave it as is and add a note that says that this grant was terminated by the NIH. Like, just be open about it if that's something that you're like legally allowed to do. Um,
It's on
I
my
I don't
CV, so
I don't like hiding things, like, if there's something that you're proud of, if
yeah.
there's something that mattered to you and your team, there's something that
Mm-hmm.
you would be working on if you had the funding, I wouldn't
Yeah.
remove it, and so, yeah, that would be my advice, yeah. Sorry, okay.
You're
Back
absolutely right. The website is on my to-do list for this month to like, well, also because we talked about this too, routine updates to the website. And I have it scheduled for this month. And that's why I was asking the RAs to send me their updated bios because I have that routine update schedule for me to go through the website and make my updates. And also, it's the start of the semester and thinking through what things we wanted to focus on. And I wanted to put that up on the website as well.
I love that. Well, your service actually came with a follow-up consultation where we can walk through updates together. So once you have your student bios, set up that time with me and we can get it done. But for everyone who's listening, if you're like at the start of your website project and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I have the funds, I don't know if I have the time, I don't know if I have any of these things, website, it's a big project. It can be a big project. You can also go to like Alice and create a free, simple website like today. So there's options for you. But if you're looking to be more intentional about your website, there's lots of resources to help you on the social academic blog. Well, I'd love to work with you. You don't need to work with me to create this space for yourself online. Makella.
And
Oh,
if I
yeah.
can follow up on that, because I did originally have a WordPress site that I started with that I made myself, and that kind of was the basis of what Jennifer and I expanded on to get the website to where it is today. My opinion, just find Jennifer and do it that way. Is because the website itself, the place was a website I could post stuff. But even my best friend, God bless her, we have a relationship where we were brutally honest. I Once I was done with the website, obviously next to my husband, she was the first person I sent it to, and her immediate response was, "I don't know who did this, but this does not look like you." And I was like, "Okay, thank you." Um, all right, you know? And I
You're
had a
like, I did
candid
this myself.
exactly. And I had a candid conversation with her and I was like, well, I didn't want to like be too much of me because it's supposed to be like a professional thing. And in my head, I'm like, it's supposed to be like, stated and reserved. But she, knowing my personality, was expecting like all of the things. And when she didn't see that, and like a very plain, almost black and white page, she was like, "Oh no, what is this? What is this?" And I was like, "This, I don't know. I'm just trying to show up." At that point, I was trying to show up how I thought I was expected to as an academic, and it just truly wasn't aligning with who I am as a person. Hmm.
I have had professors come to me and be like, "I want an old school black and white
Yeah.
academic website that doesn't look I put any design into it, but that shares my stuff." I'm like, "I'm happy to design that website, but I love that Makella wanted something that was visually matching her personality, that didn't just tell her story, but it showed the vibrancy of what it's like to work on this team, to collaborate with
Mhm.
her, to engage with this research. And so I'm curious, like you actually cared more about your logo and your visual branding than
Yeah.
almost anyone I've worked with. So it's surprising
Mhm.
for me to hear that this was not like a lifetime goal for you. You started out
No.
being like, I don't want to share myself online. Where was that shift? Where was that moment? Was it talking with your friend that you decided I need to lean into me?
So it was her to some extent, is because that's my right hand lady. But also, truthfully, it was therapy. I started therapy around the same time for some post traumatic stress I was going through for a situation. And in therapy, uncovering that I essentially, for lack of a better phrase, was dimming my light to kind of conform to what I thought I was expected to be at that time as an academic. And then truly forgetting that I am she. And she is me. And just trying to lean back into some of that power because I feel like a lot of it was lost, sadly, when I left home and moved to the US. The culture is different. And then I had never been in like this academic setting because that's not culturally how we are back home. So my best friend that I was talking to, she is familiar with the me of back home and who I am. And she was like, "Oh no, that's not how you're showing up now, honey." And then looking through it in therapy as well, I realized I really was not showing up as my authentic self because I was worried my authentic self did not match with what an academic was expected to be. And at that time, I'm like, I moved my whole life cross continent at that point to come here. Like, there's no way I'm going to fail. So if this is the box that they expect me to be in, I guess I'll just be in the box because there's no way I'm going to fail. And then it was just coming to the realization in therapy, me being my authentic self was not me failing. It's just academics stuffy sometimes, and that has nothing to do with me.
Ooh, being myself is not me failing. I love that. So many people force themselves to stay in that box when it
Hmm.
comes to their visual identity and branding online. And for your logo, you wanted a logo that represented sexual health, that
Yep.
represented the body. What sparked your thinking that really actually like leaning into that was the right choice for your logo?
It was 100% of I think it's my personality. I don't want to call it silent communication, but I just personally don't like talking a lot. And the logo I viewed as, and after this podcast, they're gonna be like, she don't like talking a lot. Really and truly, I don't, guys. For real, for real. I it's because I like Jennifer. Um, but for me, I knew the logo would have been, I don't want to say the face because it's a logo, but it essentially would have represented everything I wanted my work to be. And at that time, because we started working literally when I started the tenure track position. And at that time, I was also doing the Thrive Institute's program for professional development and really hashing out what I wanted to essentially be as an academic researcher now that I am now entering this phase of independence and could chart my own course for research. And I realized that leaned very strongly to women's sexual health. And then I said, and it encompasses a whole umbrella of subtopics, STI testing, maternal health, but it really came back to that overall women's sexual and reproductive health. And I said, what is more woman than the female form? And then personally, being a curvy sister myself, I wanted the logo to what I felt like would be representative, one, of me as a person, and two, of the research that I wanted to do. And I just felt like leaning into it because I know we went through a couple iterations, and I honestly loved the one that was the butt. Um, that was
We
a
did
version we
have a
had.
logo draft of a butt. I mean, it was like butt shaped. It was really cute.
And I can actually pull it down now because I still have it in my office, not the butt, because the butt's at home in the other office. But this was a gift from one of my friends when I was accepted the tenure track position because she also, from our like conversations, knew the type of work I wanted to do. And she said she saw this and she thought of me, and I immediately was like, this is it. This is it. And this is where I feel like we took the body from. And then with the hair of it, and I'm actually now realizing my hair is similar to the logo today. That was completely unplanned. But for the hair, I really wanted to use hair that was textured or curly in nature because a lot of my work is with women of color. And I felt like for me, it was those subtle cues in the logo that I felt like could speak to some of the work that I was doing without me having to do it. Because I feel like you see the logo and you know what's up.
That is true. It is like an immediate understanding. Oh, this is about women's bodies. I get it. Oh, if you are someone who's listening to this and you're like, I want a logo, I'm thinking about having a logo for my research, but I have no idea where to start, you're not alone. There's so many people who need support with that visual branding identity. And you really don't have to work with me for this. Like, I love working with Makella because we're working on her website together and it really made a difference for telling her
Mhm.
story. But to be honest, the majority of my clients are not prioritizing logo in their dreams for their research lab. So if that's something that you want for
Really?
yourself, yes, really, you were a standout for that. And it's not that logo wasn't
Oh,
important to you. It was something you wanted for your website. But I remember we did the quick logo during your website VIP day and it was text only and it looks nice, but it didn't represent that kind of immediate, "Ooh, I know what this is about," feeling that we have from the new logo. That's why we ended up really
yeah.
working together and creating something that was more substantially representative of your research. But we did start out from that original quick logo, something that was simple, that was gonna work, and I think that's where the majority of research
Mhm.
labs are at. Something that's gonna work, even sometimes the university will create it for you, but the people who are wanting to be more intentional, if you have an idea like Makella did with her amazing vase, like if you have like an object or a specific, I don't know, like chemical compound in your research, or maybe you work with a specific country or population, like there's so many
Yeah.
different things that could spark what your logo eventually becomes, that if you have an
Mhm.
idea, write it down now. You don't need to work with me on your logo, but write down the idea because that's something that is the hardest part to start. And so I'm so glad that we got to work together on your logo.
I absolutely loved it. I always saw the logo for me representing the work, which is why I did a lot of this at the beginning of my tenure track journey. Because I think, and I don't know if you want to talk about it, outside of the logo, I was also really persistent on having a lot of other branded materials. I wanted it to be very clear that everything we produced in the lab was the content of the lab. And I mean, like PowerPoint slide template, our templates for social media posts. Like I wanted it to be very clear and cohesive in its messaging, because at that time it was something I was coming to terms with. That messaging was something I had to lean into, and I wanted to build up a voice for the lab that we were messaging about these specific things. So from the time you see the logo, you already know what it's going to be about, and you also have a sense of trust with it too, is what the plan is. We're working on it with the posting. But that was the intent of me wanting really, really to get behind the logo and a lot of those branded materials.
Yeah, that was a really fun VIP day. So Makella and I did 3 VIP days together. The first 2 were website focused, one for her research lab website, one for her personal academic website. But the third one, I actually got to come in and talk with the students and the team. And we talked about actually implementing some of these visual branding elements into sharing the research online. So in some instances, maybe those templates weren't that used, like on social media, but there was
Yeah,
a PowerPoint template, a
we
flyer,
used
there was a poster presentation
we
template.
used that. We
Yeah,
have
so
an RA giving a presentation September 23rd.
yeah.
So we use that. We
Ooh,
actually use the recruitment flyer template for studies. IRB approved it, everything. So we use that. And also I don't know what you call it. You gave to me like the palette with the colors for and those hex codes, I think it's called. So now in the lab, when we do stuff, we use those exact colors. So
I'm so
even if
happy.
it's not like a templated thing, like I think I asked one of the RAs to do like a lit review template, and we did the lit review template with those colors from. So even like stuff that we're just doing in the lab, we use like everything with the branding, and I adore it. Even we have
Yay.
branded lab material. I don't have any close by, but it's hard to see. We have like the logo on our pens. I did tote bags. Actually, I
I
do
should have
have
brought my
some close by.
stuff.
I have the tote bag, has
Oh,
the
you have
logo.
one?
Yep. And so we did a whole bunch of branded stuff with the logo and in the colors as well. So all of that, again, with the same vein of I'm in community. So when we do community events, we have stuff to like give out, and I always wanted it stuff to be that it would be useful. So pens, obviously, but these bags, really good quality cotton tote bags, reusable. We had wireless chargers, tumblers, all with the logo in our
That
color
was my
scheme.
favorite. The insulated tumbler. I was like, "Oh my god, this is like a high quality one. I will use this." Oh, Mikkel, I wanted to ask, like, your students actually participated in kind of like the logo process. They checked out the designs. What was
Mhm.
that like to share those with your students?
So that was interesting, and it's also, again, not typical academic. It's kind of how I run the lab. We make decisions together. So even when a new RA wants to join the lab, we all vote before a new RA joins the lab. It's not just me. So I felt in the same vein, since they were essentially they were the initial cohort of the lab, and I felt like, well, they should have a voice to it too. So we went through that process together. So it looked like Jennifer would send me the mock-ups, and then at our next lab meeting, I mean, obviously I have my own thoughts, but at the next lab meeting we would all talk about it. Nobody, and it was a formal system. Actually, we would talk about it, everyone give like their pros and cons, but so that no one would feel pressured, they would email me what they voted for after the fact, and then I would just tally it up. And thank the Lord, they all agreed with me. But, There were a couple that opposed because the butt one was popular. I'm telling you, it was a real close call between the butt logo and this one. It was like really close. So because we had to have a second deliberation because it was so close. But eventually we went with, the female form. But yeah, it was an interesting process to have them involved. And then also having them involved helped because some of the lab is a bit younger than me and just kind of wanting to appeal to like all levels. And then at that time we had a research coordinator in the lab and she was older than I am. So kind of across the board how they perceived things, and we were all of different backgrounds in the lab as well. So I identify as Afro-Caribbean, but we had some people in the lab who identified as Latina and American. And so it was just kind of varied to see like the different opinions, because I also wanted to see how it would resonate with other women as well, when we were picking some of the things. So even with the color selection and everything, it worked out really well.
Oh, I'm so happy about that because there's a lot of people who are excited about their visual branding, but they kind of do it alone, even
Mhm.
if they hope that other people can be part of that journey. So I'm so happy you included your students in that process. And I had a lot of fun working with them on
I
our
included my
online.
husband too. My,
Your husband,
I
that's
think
great.
I think you heard him in one of our follow-up meetings because I remember when we did the one like this, he wanted the hips to be wider in one of the versions. And he heard me talking to you, so he wanted to make sure you knew that he wanted the hips to be wider in like the final logo.
I remember that we actually I think he came over and we all kind of looked at it together and looked at the different proportions because
Hmm.
sometimes these minute details, like, they do make the difference for that final logo. They do help it feel more like you. And so I'm
Yeah.
so glad that we had all of this different feedback
Hmm.
to help us create the logo that exists now in the world.
Yeah, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Makella, you mentioned the Thrive Institute. Can you
Yes.
chat a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's a program run by Jasmine Abrams. She calls it the Faculty Development Accelerator. And it's for academics who want to try and improve their academic success while, maintaining work-life balance. And I did that at the same time we started working on the website. And she actually has a module in there that speaks to how we maintain our online presence and leveraging it for sharing our work. So it just kind of felt like reinforcement of the path that I was already on, which was helpful because it was out of my comfort zone to like really make the push, be online, and then having someone else say exactly the same thing that Jennifer was telling me, but from a different perspective of this is essential for our research and also is essential for our commitment to the community to give back information, and not just to do research with them and not feed back into that community. So the combination of going through the social academic and having my website done through that, and then having reinforcement from the Thrive Institute's program, and also practical ways of what we should share online and how to show up through that, it just kind of coalesced and I think was really, really helpful for me because all of that happened in my first semester on tenure track. And I think it helped lay a solid foundation for me of what I think my path will be going forward, showing up online.
I really appreciate you sharing that. I should have Jasmine on this show because I feel
You
like,
should.
right?
She's on lace balls. Let me
Oh,
tell you.
I love it. Okay, well, I'm definitely gonna invite her. I'm sending out invitations like tomorrow, so it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I hope,
Yay!
Jasmine, if you're listening to this, please come on the show.
I can talk to her. So I'm an affiliate of the Thrive Institute.
Oh,
So I don't know
I'm
who's
gonna name
actually
drop you
Thrive.
when I
Yeah, I can shoot her a
yeah,
message. I can send you the links to her programs and stuff. Jasmine is
perfect.
amazing, and she also does a better job than me because I follow her Instagram. Of actually showing up online, and she has a unique
Um,
perspective of being, yes, an academic.
yeah.
She's a research scientist at Yale, but also she posts a lot about academic entrepreneurship.
Ooh.
and actually running businesses as well as an academic. So yeah, I think she'll be great for the podcast.
Very cool. I'm gonna definitely email
Maybe we
her.
should tag team and do a whole thing. This is
Oh my
you're
gosh,
my I'm popping my podcast cherry right now.
that would be so
So
cool.
that'll be so fun.
Oh, so many collaborations. Okay.
Hey.
So before we wrap up, Makella, I would
Yeah.
love for people to be able to get in touch with you afterwards. But first, is there anything you want to add before we get to that?
I do want to add one thing. For anyone who might be like me and worried about showing up online, and don't get me wrong, it is scary. And some days I do reread about 10, 15 times before I'm like, okay, this is good to go. But I think the benefits of it absolutely outweigh the fear. And if you are like on the edge, should I do this? Should I not? I encourage you to just go wholeheartedly into it. Start somewhere, start with something. Just start. Just it's okay if you have just start wherever you are, and then you can build on it, because that's what I did. I just did like a regular WordPress template, edited a few things, and I just had it up there, and then thank the goodness Jennifer came in and got me to where I needed to be. But I would say just go ahead and just start. You would thank yourself in the long run. It's really helpful.
Any small change you make has potential to really impact the people that you want to help, but also to invite people to hear your story the way you want it to be told. So any small change does make a difference. Makella, how can people get in touch with you after this?
Oh, they can look up my website at makellascoudray.com, because we do have a contact us link. If you wanted to reach out via email, it's makella.coudray@ucf.edu. That's my university, University of Central Florida. I am also on social media, though I don't post a lot. And it's the same handle across all platforms, Makella S. Coudray, X, Instagram, and Facebook.
I love it. Makella, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I am
Of
excited
course.
that we'll get to catch up again soon on
Yes.
Zoom.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.